And in the twinkling of an eye, this dangerous python turned into a handsome young man, making a long hiss before the sudden transformation. He had no home, no name, no human identity, but he would simply identify himself as Prince because he was truly a prince. But the prince of which kingdom? Prince was on a mission of vendetta, a mission with too many dangers, but with a huge reward for the Python Prince. A mission with 3 conditions. A mission he must accomplish or else. Prince stood tall, clean and elegant, wearing a very expensive red suit. His shoes were shiny, his wristwatch sparkled like ice. His hair was neat, and his face looked like it came out of a magazine. In his right hand, he carried a red suitcase that looked heavy and important. The man smiled at nothing, a slow, calm smile, the kind of smile that hides secrets. Without looking back at the tree, he walked straight out of the forest. At the edge of the road, beside thick bushes, a red Lamborghini was parked quietly. Its body shone like a mirror. Its lights blinked once as if it recognized him. He opened the driver's door and sat inside. The engine started with a soft growl. He adjusted his suit, placed the suitcase on the passenger seat, and drove out into the open road like someone who already knew where he was going. Fast forward to a popular Lagos nightclub. Music filled the air. Laughter, shouting, dancing, everything mixed together like fire and smoke. The Lamborghini moved gently through the busy streets and stopped in front of the club. Blue and red lights flashed over the entrance. He stepped out of the car. People turned to look at him immediately. Nobody knew him, but from the way he dressed, the way he walked, and the expensive car he drove, they could tell he was not a poor man. He pushed the club door open. Warm air and loud music rushed at him. People were dancing, drinking, shouting, and living life without thinking twice. The DJ was playing a hot song. The crowd was wild. The handsome stranger walked straight to an empty table by the corner and sat quietly. He placed the suitcase beside him. Nobody knew who he was, but almost everyone stole glances at him, especially because he looked too rich, too calm, too mysterious. Then something caught his eyes. A girl was dancing on the stage. She moved with confidence, like someone who had danced all her life. Her hair bounced, her smile was bright, and her steps were sharp. The club lights made her look like she was glowing. Her name was Lucia. Everyone in the club knew her. She was a Gen Z baddie, a slay queen, energetic, pretty, and always the center of attention. She started clubbing when she was 16, immediately after moving out of her parents' house to attend university. She went after money so badly that she would do anything to have it. Every man in the club had had a taste of her, and more were still on their way. And what about her parents? She showered them with money and gifts, and so they never cared if her daughter was actually studying or not. They also didn't care what their undergraduate daughter did to make the kind of money she sent to them, as long as they were surviving off the money. But tonight, Lucia had no idea her life was about to change forever. Prince reached for his suitcase. The moment he opened it, bright lights from the club hit the inside, and something shocking happened. The suitcase was full of hard currencies, pounds, euros, dollars, uncountable bundles of cash, stacked neatly from one end to the other. People near the table gasped. One girl shouted, "Money na wata." Another man froze and cleaned his eyes to be sure he was not dreaming. Nobody knew him. Nobody knew where he came from. Nobody knew why he carried such money. But he alone did. He knew he was on a mission A mission that would make or mar him. He took 2 thick bundles of cash and walked towards Lucia. The DJ shouted, "It be like say we get Odogu for club tonight." Lucia herself paused mid-step when she saw the handsome stranger coming closer. Before she could say a word, the man began to spray her. Money flew in the air like leaves in a storm. People screamed in shock. Phones came out. Videos started. Everybody looked confused. Who is he? Where did he come from? See money. This one is not normal money. Lucia's mouth fell open. She smiled wide and continued dancing as he kept spraying her without stopping. Finally, the stranger returned to his seat with the same calm smile on his face. He closed the suitcase slowly. Lucia could not hold herself. She jumped off the stage and ran after him. She reached his table, pulled a chair and sat down directly in front of him.
"I haven't seen you here before,"
she said, breathing fast from excitement and dancing. The man looked up at her with a gentle smile.
"My name is Prince."
Lucia nodded slowly. "Wow, you must be royalty then." Prince smiled faintly in affirmation. "But which kingdom?" she asked in her mind, staring without saying a word. Something about him felt strange, but she liked the attention and definitely liked the money. The money was what mattered most. The answers to all the questions on her mind can wait. Then, without even asking for her name, he asked the question nobody expected. "Will you marry me?" Lucia blinked so fast, she looked like someone who just heard breaking news. "We just met," she said, laughing nervously. "You don't even know me, not even my name." "It doesn't matter," Prince replied softly. "Some things are meant to be. But by the way, what's your beautiful name?" he asked, giving a forced smile. "Lucia," she replied with a bedroom voice, even though she was at the club. At the mention of the name Lucia, Prince frowned. His mood changed quickly. Back in his kingdom, some names like Lucia, Gabriela, and Angelina were forbidden. Unconsciously, he said, "No, that can't be." Then he quickly stopped and smiled when he noticed the expression on Lucia's face. His mission was more important than any forbidden name now. He quickly found a way around it. "Wow, you have a very beautiful name, but I think I've got a name more befitting for a sweet woman like you. Can I call you Zara?" "Yes," Lucia replied, without even bothering about the meaning of the name or why he wanted to give her a name for himself. What mattered most to her was the money. She looked beside him at the suitcase that still held plenty of money. She swallowed hard. Then, Prince opened a small box. Inside was a diamond ring, a real one. It shone like it held a piece of the sun. Prince went down on one knee. People screamed. Phone lights pointed at them. Some women held their heads. Men shouted in confusion. Lucia grabbed the ring with her 2 hands, her mouth wide open. "It's diamond," she said loudly. Lucia nodded once. "Yes, it is." She stared at him again, then stared at the ring, then back at the suitcase of cash, then back at him. "Yes, I will marry you," she said, almost jumping. The crowd cheered. People clapped. The DJ shouted, "This one is real love." Prince stood up and Lucia hugged him with excitement. She smelled his perfume and felt goosebumps all over her body. Everything was happening too fast, but she didn't care. A few minutes later, Prince picked up his suitcase. "I have to go," he said calmly. Lucia grabbed her bag quickly and stood up to follow him, but Prince stopped her. "Don't worry, we will see tomorrow. Right here, same place, we will see." Lucia frowned a little. "You're leaving alone?" He touched her cheek gently. "Tomorrow," he repeated with a soft smile. She nodded, though confused. Prince walked out of the club, carrying the suitcase. Everyone stared at him as he left. Some followed him outside to see where he was going. But he entered his Lamborghini and drove away before anyone could say a word. He drove to the same forest where he came from. He parked the car beside the bushes, opened the door, and stepped out quietly. Immediately, his feet touched the ground. His body began to twist. His hands bent. His legs folded. His skin shifted. His suit fell to the floor. And within seconds, he turned back into a python. The big golden snake crawled into the darkness of the forest with the same calmness he had earlier. His suitcase disappeared with him. The forest swallowed him whole. Something strange was happening deep inside the forest, something that Lucia had no idea about. And tomorrow was coming fast. Lucia did not wait for the club music to finish. She did not wait to rest. She did not even wait to breathe. She ran home at full speed like someone being chased by the wind. Her heart was beating fast, not from fear, but from excitement. She held her expensive diamond ring carefully so it would not fall. She also carried her small bag tightly, the bag that contained bundles of money the mysterious prince had given her. When she reached her house, she pushed the door of their room open so hard that it hit the wall. Her two roommates, Nancy and Lizzie, who were sitting on the bed, jumped in fear. "Lucia, what is wrong with you?" Nancy shouted, holding her chest, but Lucia did not answer. She stretched her hand out, her fingers spread apart, showing them the shining diamond ring. "Girls, look!" she screamed with joy. The ring sparkled like a tiny star on her finger. Nancy's eyes widened until they looked like they would fall out. "Wait, is this real diamond?" Nancy asked, moving closer. Lucia smiled proudly and nodded fast. "Yes, real diamond." Lizzie swallowed hard. "From where?" Lucia rolled her eyes dramatically. "Relax. I didn't steal it though," she said. "I met a big boy today, a billionaire."
Nancy and Lizzie looked at each other, confused. Lucia opened her bag and started bringing out bundles of cash, dropping them like she was unpacking clothes. The bundles kept coming and coming. Nancy and Lizzie froze. They did not blink. They did not move. They did not breathe. What is this?" Lizzie whispered. "Money," Lucia shouted. "He gave me all this money and he proposed with this ring." Nancy shook her head slowly. "Lucia, are you sure you didn't go and steal?" "I didn't steal anything," Lucia snapped. She flipped her long braids and sat proudly on the bed. "I told you girls to follow me to the club today, but you refused. Now look, I'm not giving you people a dime." Nancy hissed loudly. Lizzie sat up straight. "Lucia, calm down," Lizzie said softly. "We are happy for you, but I don't think this is okay." Lucia frowned. "What do you mean?" "It is too sudden," Lizzie continued. "How well do you know this man? Who is he? Where is he from? Where did he get all this money?" Immediately she finished talking, Nancy and Lucia shouted at her together. "Shut up," Nancy said. "You don't know anything," Lucia added. Lizzie kept quiet, but she still looked worried. Lucia hugged the diamond ring to her chest, smiling like someone who won a lottery. "I'm going to marry him," she whispered to herself. "My life has changed." But Lizzie looked away. Something in her heart was not comfortable. Something about Prince did not feel normal. The next night came quickly deep inside the forest under the same giant tree. Something moved again. The leaves shook. The air became silent. A long python crawled out from the roots of the tree. Its golden scales shone brighter than before. Its eyes glowed like two small lamps. Once again, its body twisted, its skin cracked, its shape stretched, and slowly the python changed back into the handsome man who simply identified himself as Prince. Tonight, he wore another expensive suit. This time, his outfit had a golden touch. Even his new suitcase sparkled like treasure. He smiled to himself and walked to the road where his Lamborghini was waiting. He entered the car and drove straight to the nightclub again. Lucia was already outside the club with her friends, dressed beautifully. She kept looking left and right, waiting. That's him, she suddenly shouted when she saw the Lamborghini. As soon as Prince parked and stepped out, Lucia ran to him like a child running to her father. She jumped on him and hugged him tightly. But when her skin touched his, she gasped. "Wait, why is your body this cold?" she asked, pulling back a little. Prince smiled calmly. "Oh, it's the AC in the car. I like it very cold." Lucia did not suspect anything. She laughed and hugged him again. Nancy and Lizzie also greeted him with excitement. "Welcome, sir," Nancy said, almost bowing. Lizzie greeted too with a handshake, but her eyes stayed on him with hidden fear. That coldness she felt from his handshake was not normal. When they entered the club, people who saw him the previous day began shouting, "Boss! Big man! Man of the night! Spray us again!" Phones were already out. People wanted another show. Prince didn't smile. He only nodded a little and walked inside with Lucia holding his arm proudly. Lucia's friends could not stop staring at him like he was a celebrity. While they sat down, Prince leaned back, looked into Lucia's eyes and spoke calmly. "I want to visit your parents tomorrow." Lucia screamed, Nancy screamed, Lizzie screamed too, though her own scream was small and worried. They jumped up and danced around like children. Lucia kissed his hand. "Ah, you're serious? You really want to marry me?" she shouted. Prince only smiled in a strange, careful way. His plans were playing out perfectly. But from the corner of the club, two men were watching. They sat in the shadows wearing black t-shirts. Smoke floated around them as they puffed quietly. One of them was Sammy, Lucia's ex-boyfriend. His eyes were sharp with jealousy, and his friend beside him kept whispering angrily, "Look at her. She has followed another man," the friend muttered. Sammy kept staring at Lucia with cold burning in his eyes. "That man? Something is not right about him," Sammy said. Prince did not look in their direction. He did not even seem to notice them. After a while, Prince stood up. "Let's go," he said. Lucia picked her bag immediately. Nancy and Lizzie ran after them. Prince walked out of the club, opened his car door and motioned for them to enter. "I want to show you something." The girls entered the car. As he drove, the road became quieter and more beautiful. The street lights glowed softly. Expensive houses lined the road. Flowers grew around tall fences. Lucia's mouth was wide open. "Where are we?" she asked. Prince stopped in front of a beautiful duplex. The house looked fresh and expensive, with bright lights, clean walls, and a small garden at the front. He stepped out and pointed at it. "I bought this house," he said softly. "And it is in your name, Lucia." Lucia screamed so loudly that even the gates shook. "Oh my God," she cried. She ran to him and hugged him tightly. She even lifted her legs in excitement. Nancy and Lizzie clapped their hands, shaking their heads in disbelief. Lizzie whispered to Lucia, "This is too much, too fast, too strange." But Lucia did not hear anything. She was dancing around the compound, touching the walls, opening the gate, closing it again, and laughing like a child. She jumped on Prince again, wrapping her hands around his neck. "I love you! I love you!" she shouted. Prince held her gently, but his smile was not a normal smile. It was the smile of someone who was hiding something huge, something dangerous, something Lucia was not ready for. And deep inside the forest, the giant tree trembled slightly, as if something was waking up, as if something was watching, as if tomorrow would not be normal. But that was just the beginning of his great mission, the sole reason he took a human form. The following week was like a dream for Lucia. From the moment Prince said he wanted to marry her, everything happened fast, too fast, but nobody cared. Prince had money,
more than enough money. And in the eyes of many people, money was more important than questions. Lucia's parents were the happiest. Her father kept smiling from morning till night. Her mother walked around the compound, bragging to neighbors. "My daughter is marrying a rich man," she said to anyone who cared to listen. "A billionaire. God has done it."
Her friends Nancy and Lizzie helped with every preparation. Nancy was proud to walk around with a friend who had suddenly become a big woman. Lizzie, however, still had a strange feeling about everything, but she kept quiet. The wedding day arrived. It was grand. It was loud. It was colorful. Expensive decorations everywhere. Luxury cars lined up outside. People from far and near gathered. Musicians sang. Cameras flashed. Food did not finish. Lucia wore a beautiful wedding gown that sparkled like fresh snow. Prince stood beside her, dressed in white and gold. His smile never left his face. But something was strange. Very strange. No single member of his family attended. Not his father, not his mother, not a sibling, not a cousin, not even a distant relative. People whispered, "Where is his family? How can a man so rich come alone? Maybe they live abroad. Maybe they couldn't travel." But after one look at all the money spent that day, everyone forgot their questions. Some people even said, "Who needs his family when he has this kind of money?" Nobody wondered where he came from. Nobody asked for his background. Nobody checked his story. They were too busy eating, dancing, taking pictures, and enjoying the show. Even Lucia did not care. Uncontrolled quest for money had covered her eyes. When the wedding ended, Lucia and Prince moved into their new, beautiful duplex. Lucia's pride grew like a balloon. Everywhere she passed, people stared. She walked with so much confidence that even her shadow looked proud. She would smile and say to her friends, "I am now a big woman. My husband is a billionaire. Everything I want, he will buy for me." But deep down, she didn't know the truth about the man she married. At first, the marriage looked perfect. Prince bought her expensive clothes, he bought her jewelry, he filled the house with gifts, he gave her money, he treated her gently. But one strange thing kept happening. Every night, Prince disappeared. He never slept in the house. Lucia would dress up the bed, enter the room, and ask, in anticipation for a memorable romantic encounter with her billionaire husband, "Baby, are you not sleeping yet?" And he would reply, "No, I have to travel to South Africa tonight." At first, she was shocked. South Africa every night? Why South Africa? And Prince would answer calmly, "I have a factory in Pretoria. I must check it every night. By morning, I will be back." Out of excitement and gullibility, Lucia accepted. She didn't ask the kind of factory he owned. She didn't ask the name. She didn't ask for any information. She didn't ask how he traveled to South Africa and returned in a few hours. She simply believed everything he said because the money was too much for her to think clearly. When he left every night, she would smile at herself and say, "My husband is a hard-working billionaire. Let him work. I will enjoy the money." But Lucia did not know that Prince wasn't going to South Africa. He was going back into the forest, back to the big tree, back to his true form. Every night under the moonlight, he would change into a python and crawl into the shadow of the forest. Lucia had no idea. Another strange thing also kept happening. She was always looking for her mirrors, but she would quickly buy new ones to replace them. Prince made sure he removed every mirror in the house, or else his true identity could be revealed. This continued for weeks. Lucia was definitely enjoying the money, but her hot body was not having it anymore. Before then, she hardly spent the night without a man to warm her bed. But she had now spent 21 nights without a man. One night, while Prince was away, she invited Alex, one of her uncountable ex-boyfriends, to come spend the night with her. Alex quickly arrived in a taxi. He had missed Lucia. When he entered the room, he was overwhelmed by the beauty of the room. While still in ecstasy, Lucia, who had been starved of intimacy for weeks now, jumped on him and undressed him, and without even shutting the door properly, they both devoured each other like hungry lions. They had the whole night all to themselves. And while they screamed in the room, something shocking happened. Prince watched the scene from his kingdom. For him, it called for celebration. He was filled with joy. He laughed out so loud that they almost heard his voice in their room. Strange sounds filled the room, but they were so lost in their deep romantic encounter that they barely noticed anything of such. Prince's mission just got started on a positive note. 1 man down, 1 soul destroyed, 1 year gained, 999 more to go. Before morning, Alex called his taxi to take him home. He left fulfilled and satisfied. He looked forward to getting another invitation soon. Lucia's marriage was now more beautiful than ever. Her husband would provide the money in billions, while her boyfriend satisfied her. But what she did not know was that these men slept and never woke up. She only noticed that she couldn't reach them on the phone. She was living in a world of her own in her isolated mansion. When she ran out of options, she started arranging and hiring random men to warm her lonely bed. She slept freely with these men without any form of protection.
She wondered why she hadn't taken in, but that was the least of her worries. After all, it was to her own advantage. She had nothing to explain to her ever-absent billionaire husband. She would worry about taking in later, maybe when Prince was ready to put her in the family way. As for Prince, the more Lucia slept around, the closer he got to accomplishing his sacred mission. A mission with 3 conditions that must never be broken. To meet these 3 dangerous conditions and be able to accomplish his mission, he needed to keep Lucia distracted. And so he showered her with more and more money. Dear viewers, you may be wondering what mission Prince was on, what exactly the 3 conditions were, and what his reward would be if he accomplished the mission. Let me take you 1,000 miles to the Python Kingdom, where they needed to avenge the death of their former Python king, killed by hunters 1,000 years ago. To avenge his death, they needed to kill 1,000 men. And so, the present Python king declared, "One of us must take a human form, marry a woman, and destroy 1,000 men through her." "But how?" the other pythons asked. "We need a club girl, a girl who loves men and money. You will give her money, but you never give her romantic satisfaction. There's every tendency she'll sleep with other men. Pretend like you don't know she's cheating on you. Every man she sleeps with will take the man and the fruit he deposited in her womb. She'll never be able to conceive, and she'll never be able to have money or wealth of her own. You will give her everything she needs, but she must not own them herself. Through her, we will destroy as many men as possible. Each man you succeed in destroying represents 1 year in your reign as the next Python king. If you get us the souls of 1,000 men, you reign king for 1,000 years and you will achieve immortality." It was the dream of every python to reign king, and come to think of it, for 1,000 years. But that wasn't the most interesting part of the promise. Every python craved immortality. Only 1 python had achieved immortality in the history of pythons, and that was their python king killed by hunters 1,000 years ago. So, many pythons indicated interest in embarking on the mission. The python king continued, but there are 3 conditions, 3 compulsory conditions. Firstly, she must never know your true identity, because if she does, she could leave the marriage and you will not be able to accomplish your mission. In which case, you must return to the kingdom as a servant for 1,000 years.
Secondly, you must never sleep with her. If you ever sleep with her, you must continue to sleep with her every night for 1,000 years. Any night you fail to sleep with her, you'll be in pain, and she too will be in pain. And thirdly, you must return to the kingdom every night before midnight. If midnight ever meets you in the land of men, you will wander in the land of men for 1,000 years before returning to the kingdom. After the conditions and consequences were spelt out, all the happy volunteers stepped backward, hissing in frustration. There was silence in the kingdom for over an hour. Then the Python prince, the only son of the Python king, stepped forward, looking courageous and ready to accomplish this great mission with dangerous consequences. But will he succeed? Let's find out.
It was around 11 p.m. Lucia was in the bathroom of their bedroom. She had bought a new big mirror and she held it in her hand as she did her skincare routine. The bathroom light was bright. The mirror reflected everything clearly. She was singing softly when she heard the door open. "Baby, is that you?" she asked. There was no answer. She continued applying her cream. Then she lifted the mirror to check her face. What she saw behind her made her freeze. Her heart stopped for a moment. In the mirror, behind her, stood Prince, who wanted to tell her he was leaving, but he was not normal. From the waist down, the mirror showed a long, thick python tail, golden, shiny, moving slowly like he was alive. Lucia stared in shock, her eyes wide, her mouth open but no sound coming out. Her hands began shaking so badly that she dropped the mirror. She slowly turned around. Prince stood there. "Is everything okay?" he asked, but he looked completely normal. No tail, no scales, no snake-like appearance, just the handsome face she married. "Baby," he said in a calm voice. Lucia stepped back, fear covering her entire body. I saw something in the mirror. Maybe it's my imagination. I am sure it was." Prince blinked slowly. His calm smile disappeared for the first time. His eyes sharpened. "It was," he said. Without saying another word, he stepped out and closed the bathroom door, turned around and disappeared. Not by walking away, not by running, not by jumping. He simply vanished like he stepped into a shadow and the shadow swallowed him. Lucia pushed her back against the bathroom wall, breathing heavily. Her legs felt weak. Her whole body trembled. That night, she could not sleep. She paced around the room, checking the mirror again and again, afraid to look, afraid not to look. Her heart kept pounding with one question. Was it my imagination?
The next morning, Prince returned as if nothing happened. He wore another expensive suit, calm and gentle. "Good morning, my love," he said, smiling. Lucia's breath shook. The image of the tail refused to leave her mind. She wanted to ask him again, but she stayed quiet. Prince touched her cheek gently. "Why do you look scared?" he asked. Lucia forced a smile. I didn't sleep well." Prince nodded. He knew something was not right, and he needed to act fast. He needed to spoil Lucia with more and more money and gifts to keep her further distracted while he accomplished his mission without failing his conditions. "If it's fine, prepare yourself. We will go somewhere tonight." "Where?" she whispered. "You will see." His smile was soft, but something in his eyes looked sharper than before, almost as if he knew she saw something and was waiting. Lucia swallowed hard. Her life had changed, but she didn't know if it was for better or for something far more dangerous. And somewhere deep inside the forest, the giant tree moved again, as if something bigger was waking up. Something connected to Prince, something Lucia was not ready to face. When it was time for them to go out, Lucia sat beside Prince inside the Lamborghini. But she could not relax. Her fingers kept touching each other, her legs kept shaking, and she kept stealing quick glances at him. Every time she looked at him, her heart beat faster. She remembered the mirror. She remembered the snake-like tail. She remembered the strange way he disappeared. But now he looked normal, too normal. He was smiling, handsome, calm, and acting like nothing happened. That alone made Lucia more scared. Prince glanced at her. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. Lucia swallowed hard and nodded quickly. "Yes, I'm fine," she whispered. But she was not fine. Her mind was loud. Her thoughts were running up and down. She kept asking herself the same question. Did I really see a tail? Or was it my imagination? Prince kept driving quietly, and Lucia's eyes kept going to his legs, his hands, his body. She wanted to be sure she wasn't sitting beside something dangerous. Then suddenly, Prince turned off the main road and entered a lonely path that led toward the forest. The road looked rough. Tall trees stood on both sides, and the wind made strange sounds as it blew across the bushes. Lucia felt her chest tighten. Why? Why are we going this way? She asked softly. Prince smiled. It's a shorter route. Don't worry. But Lucia did worry. Her mind started shouting again. The car moved deeper into the forest area. Large trees covered the road like umbrellas. The sunlight hardly touched the ground. Bushes moved when small animals ran through them. Lucia slowly moved closer to the door, her hand gently touching the door handle, just in case. Prince noticed again. You look tense, he said. No, I'm okay, Lucia lied, forcing a smile. But the fear was already sitting inside her chest like a heavy stone. A few minutes later, Prince stopped the car suddenly. The car made a soft sound as it came to a halt. Lucia's heart nearly jumped out of her body. Why? Why are we stopping? She asked in a shaky voice. Prince did not answer immediately. He sat still, looking straight ahead. Then slowly he turned his head and looked at Lucia. His smile was calm, but something about it made Lucia feel cold. He opened the door and stepped out. Lucia froze. Prince walked slowly toward the thick part of the forest and stared into it like he was studying something deep inside. The wind blew his suit lightly. He stood there silently, like he was waiting for someone or something. Lucia opened her door a little and looked around. Cars passed the road far away, but only one, once in a long while. The forest was quiet, too quiet. She finally gathered courage. What are we doing here? She asked, her voice almost trembling.
Prince turned to her with a wide smile. You know, he said calmly, I like this type of place. I love the peace here. I want to own a house in this kind of place someday and reign king for 1,000 years. That day is coming soon. He lifted his hand and pointed toward the forest, somewhere inside there. Lucia's mouth opened in shock. She pointed immediately at the bush. Inside there? She asked. Prince nodded, still smiling. Lucia shook her head quickly. Maybe you will be the only one who will come and stay here, she said. I won't. I'm scared already. Please, let's go. His smile widened even more, and something about that smile made Lucia's stomach twist. It didn't look like a normal smile. It looked too wide, too calm, almost like he was enjoying her fear. But he turned back to the car, opened the door, and sat down without saying anything. Then he started the engine. Okay, he said softly. Let's go. Lucia exhaled deeply. Her whole body relaxed a little, though her hands were still shaking. The car moved back onto the main road away from the forest. Lucia kept wiping her forehead quietly. All through the journey, Lucia was busy trying to reconcile the words she heard Prince say. House in the forest, king for 1,000 years, and so on. Was he imagining or exaggerating? Is he the prince of a village across the other side of the forest? These and many other thoughts raced through her restless mind. After some minutes, the area changed. The tall trees ended and beautiful houses and flowers started to appear. The road became wider, cleaner, and more organized. Lucia saw a long fountain in the center of the street, beautiful lights around it, and guards standing near the gate of a large estate. Prince drove into the estate confidently. Lucia's eyes widened. Where is this place? She whispered. Prince didn't answer. He just drove forward until they reached a beautiful house, more beautiful than any house Lucia had ever seen with her eyes. The house looked like something from a movie. White walls, large glass windows, golden lights, tall pillars, a garden that looked like paradise. Lucia covered her mouth with both hands. Prince parked in front of the building. For a moment, the world felt quiet. The only sound Lucia heard was her own fast breathing. Prince stepped out and walked to Lucia's side. He opened her door with a soft smile. Come, he said. Lucia stepped out slowly, still staring at the building like she was dreaming. It's so So beautiful, she whispered. Prince nodded. Yes. And he reached into his pocket and brought out a small key holder. He held it toward her. These, he said gently, are the keys. Lucia froze. The keys? She looked at him surprised. What? What do you mean? Keys for what? Prince stretched the keys closer. This is your house now, he said. Lucia's mouth dropped open. My house? She asked, pointing to herself. Prince nodded with a calm smile. I bought it for you. Lucia screamed excitedly. She couldn't control herself. She ran and jumped on him, wrapping her arms around his neck. Oh my God! This is why I love you. You care for me too much. Prince didn't react much. He simply held her waist gently and smiled, a very slow smile. Immediately, he felt her curvy waist. He imagined how sweet it would be to have a taste of Lucia in bed. But he quickly remembered he was on a mission and should never sleep with a woman.
Lucia pulled back and looked at the house again. She ran to the gate, ran back, then ran to the door, then back to Prince. Completely overwhelmed, she kept shouting, "This is mine! This is mine for me!" Prince nodded quietly. Lucia hugged him again, but she didn't see the look on his face when she turned away. His smile slowly faded. His eyes changed for 1 second. Just 1 second. A cold, sharp look passed through them. Then he blinked and the look disappeared. He returned to normal. Lucia was too busy celebrating to notice anything. She held the keys tightly and kept running around the compound with joy. Prince simply watched her, silent, observing, waiting. Lucia finally stopped and leaned on the car, breathing hard from excitement. "Thank you, Prince," she said softly. "Thank you for loving me." Prince smiled faintly. "You deserve everything," he said. But there was something else in his smile, something hidden, something that Lucia did not see, not yet. The next morning came slowly. Soft sunlight entered through the wide glass windows of Lucia's beautiful new house. Birds sang outside, and the air felt fresh. But Lucia did not feel calm. Her mind was still heavy from everything she had seen the previous night. She sat alone at the dining table with a cup of tea in front of her. She wasn't drinking it. She was only staring into the cup, her face full of quiet worry. The big house felt too silent, too empty. It didn't feel like a normal home. It felt like a place where secrets lived. Her phone suddenly rang and she jumped a little. It was her mother. Lucia breathed in deeply and answered with a small smile in her voice. "Mommy?" Her mother's voice was full of joy. "My daughter, my beautiful wife, congratulations again. I heard about the house. God has done it for us. I am so proud of you." Lucia managed to smile. "Thank you, Mommy." Her mother continued praising and thanking God for minutes. Lucia listened quietly, nodding, but inside her heart, her fear stayed untouched. After her mother calmed down, Lucia sighed and said softly, "Mommy, I want to tell you something." Her mother immediately became serious. "What is it?" Lucia looked around the dining room, even though she was alone. Then she spoke in a quiet voice. "Mommy, yesterday night, I saw something strange in the mirror." "What did you see?" her mother asked quickly. Lucia swallowed. "I saw something that looked like Prince's tail." Her mother gasped. "Tail? What kind of tail?" Lucia closed her eyes. A python's tail, long, black. It was moving behind him. There was silence on the phone for a second. Lucia continued talking fast, but when I turned to look at him, he was normal. I think maybe it was my eyes. Maybe I was tired or something.
Her mother suddenly raised her voice gently, trying to calm the whole matter. "Lucia, my daughter, don't talk like that again. You hear me? Don't allow strange thoughts into your mind." "Mommy, but I... Her mother interrupted firmly. "Prince is a good man, a very good man. He loves you. He takes care of you. He even bought you houses. Do you know how many women are praying for that kind of blessing?" Lucia nodded slowly. "I know, Mommy. her mother continued. The devil can whisper nonsense into someone's mind. The devil wants to destroy good marriages. He will start putting strange ideas in your head, trying to make you fear your own husband. Don't let that happen. Lucia wiped her face gently. So you don't believe me? I believe you are stressed, her mother replied. Maybe you have been thinking too much. Maybe the mirror confused you. But what you think you saw is not real. Don't say such again. Lucia nodded weakly. Okay, mommy. Prince is a blessing, her mother added. Hold him well. Don't let small fears scatter your home. Do you hear me? Yes, mommy. They spoke for a while longer. Normal things, peaceful things, motherly things. Then the call ended. Lucia dropped the phone and sat back slowly, her eyes unfocused. Even though her mother spoke with confidence, Lucia's heart did not feel settled. The memory of that tale was still sharp, too sharp. Just then, a loud knock came at the door. Knock, knock, knock. Lucia stood up quickly and walked to the entrance. When she opened the door, her friend Lizzie jumped happily into the house. My wife, she shouted. Owner of a mansion, show me around. Lucia laughed a little for the first time that day. She held Lizzie's hand and took her around the house, showing her the large living room, the beautiful kitchen, and the wide bedroom. Lizzie was impressed, though she observed she didn't see any mirror anywhere in the house. But she decided not to talk about that. Lucia, this is heaven. You are blessed. Lucia smiled softly, but after all the excitement, Lizzie suddenly turned serious. Lucia, can I ask you something? Lucia nodded. Lizzie lowered her voice. Does your husband still sleep outside? As in, he still doesn't sleep at home? Lucia looked down. Yes, he still goes out every night. He says he works in South Africa. He leaves at night and comes back every morning. Lizzie's face twisted in confusion. Every night? Yes. When do you guys make love? We've not made love yet. That will be very soon. But for me, I am okay as long as the money keeps coming. Lizzie placed her hand on her waist. Lucia, please, don't be angry. I know you think I don't like Prince, but I'm saying this because I care for you. Lucia looked at her with concern. What is it? Lizzie took a deep breath. I think you should conduct a secret investigation. Lucia blinked rapidly. Investigation on who? On your husband, Lizzie whispered. Lucia's eyes widened. How will I even do that? Lizzie leaned closer. Follow him. Use your own car. Don't let him know. When he's leaving the house at night, follow him quietly. See where he's going. See what kind of work he's doing. Lucia looked scared and confused. Lizzie, I don't know if I can do that. You must, Lizzie insisted. Something is not adding up. A man who leaves home every night and returns every morning and never makes love with his wife. A man whose family never appears. Lucia, open your eyes, but follow him, Lizzie said again. Just once. You will see everything with your own eyes. Lucia was quiet for a long time. Then, slowly, she nodded. Lizzie touched her shoulder. Good. Be careful. They talked for a little while longer, and then Lizzie left. Lucia remained standing in the living room alone, thinking deeply. Her heart beat slowly, heavily. She wasn't sure she was ready, but she also felt she needed the truth.
Prince arrived. Hours passed. The sun went down. Darkness slowly filled the house. Lucia walked to the bedroom window and peeped outside. Prince's car was still in the compound. He was inside the house somewhere dressing up. Her heart began to beat faster. A few minutes later, she heard his footsteps coming down the stairs. She quickly pretended to be busy arranging things on the table. Prince came out wearing a red shirt and red trousers. I'm going now, he said softly. Lucia swallowed. Okay, safe journey. Prince kissed her forehead and walked out. As soon as the gate opened and Prince drove out into the night, Lucia rushed upstairs to change into simple clothes. Her hands were shaking so much that she couldn't button her shirt properly. She grabbed her car key. She turned off all the lights and quietly she sneaked out through the back door. She entered the car and waited until she saw Prince's tail lights turning at the bend of the street. Then she started her engine slowly, very slowly. She followed him from behind. Her heart was beating louder than the sound of her car.
She prayed silently. Please God, let nothing happen to me tonight, because tonight I'm about to see the truth, the real truth. Lucia continued following Prince that night, her hands shaking on the steering. The road was quiet, the moonlight touching the trees on both sides. Prince's car moved fast but steady, and Lucia kept her eyes on his red tail lights. She refused to blink. She refused to look away. She wanted to see where he always disappeared to. But suddenly, a speeding car overtook her so fast that she screamed and held her steering tightly. Her heart almost jumped out of her chest. By the time she balanced herself and looked forward again, Prince's car was gone, completely gone. No sound, no light, no turn, no movement, nothing. Lucia stepped on her brake and stopped the car right there. Tears of frustration filled her eyes. She hit the steering wheel hard with both hands. What is happening? Why can't I catch him? She shouted to herself. After a few minutes of confusion and fear, she turned her car around and drove back home, her mind full of unanswered questions. The next morning, the sun came out early, but Lucia felt cold. Her whole body felt weak. As soon as she woke up, she dialed Lizzie's number and told her everything. Lizzie sighed deeply and said, "Lucia, listen to me. We need another plan." "What plan?" Lucia asked tiredly. "You have to make him sleep deeply, very deeply. Put sleeping pills in his food tonight, very strong ones." Lucia's eyes widened. "Sleeping pills?" "Yes. If you can make him sleep early, it might reveal some things we don't know about. Who knows? Just trust me." Lucia thought about it. It sounded dangerous, but she was desperate. She needed the truth. When the call ended, Lucia sat quietly on her bed, thinking for a long time. Her hands shook. Her heart beat fast. But at last, she nodded to herself. "I must know the truth."
That day, Prince arrived just like always, smiling, acting gentle, acting loving. Lucia kept her face straight. She didn't want him to suspect anything. That night, she served him food, hiding her fear behind his small smile. Before serving, she had poured very strong sleeping pills inside, pills that worked fast, pills that could make someone sleep in minutes. Prince ate slowly, talking about how his work in South Africa was stressing him. Lucia didn't say anything. She only watched him carefully. 5 minutes later, Prince rubbed his eyes. I'm feeling somehow." Lucia nodded quickly. "You should rest a bit before you leave." He sat on the couch in the living room, leaned back and closed his eyes. Within minutes, he slept off. She kept watch, took coffee, walked around, washed her face severally, and even took her bath to stay awake, all to no avail. At about 11 p.m., after taking her bath for the third time, still tying her towel, she fell into a deep sleep. Minutes later, Prince woke up. He knew he was already running late, but what he saw was too sweet to be ignored. He couldn't resist her. Lucia was an extremely beautiful woman, curvy, busty, and soft-skinned. This was the first time he saw her beautiful body in that state. He remembered one of the conditions was never to sleep with her, but he thought to himself, if I sleep with her, my punishment will be to continue sleeping with her for 1,000 years. Sleeping with a beautiful woman like this should be a blessing and not a curse. I need to quickly do this and return to the kingdom before midnight. Immediately he had a taste of her, she passed out. The sweetness was just too much. She had tasted over 100 men. None was half as sweet as Prince. She felt like she was in heaven. But that experience was going to change her life forever. Prince continued to enjoy her so much that he forgot it was getting to midnight. Luckily for him, he realized himself a few minutes before midnight. He quickly began the transformation process. He moved, turned, twisted, and hissed. Halfway on his transformation into a python, Lucia woke up.
What she saw took breath out of her. She saw a very big scary python tail, but still with the body and head of Prince. She screamed so loud that she couldn't hear herself. The python was moving like a woman about to climax. She tried to run, but to where? She watched with her eyes and mouth wide open, covering her mouth with her hand as she screamed helplessly. "Somebody help! Somebody help!" She screamed and begged, but no one outside the room could hear her. Just then, Prince completely transformed into a giant python, but could not disappear. One thing was missing. There was no live tree in the house. He could not disappear or move back to his kingdom without making contact with a live tree or plant. But he found none. Lucia continued to scream. In her confusion, she finally ran out. The python followed her out without her knowledge, not to harm her, but to find a live tree and move back to his kingdom before midnight. He finally saw a decorative flower tree in the compound, but before he could reach the tree, it was midnight already. Unfortunately, he failed all 3 conditions in one night because of a woman. One thing led to the other. In one night, he slept with a woman. In one night, his true identity was revealed. In that same night, midnight met him in the land of men. Now he must wander in the land of men and also sleep with Lucia every night for 1,000 years, which was equivalent to 1,000 days. That is 2 years and 4 months in the eyes of mortal men. Will he still be able to sleep with her, now that Lucia was already aware of who he really was? Lucia continued to scream and run.
Lucia's heart began to beat so loud that she felt it in her ears. She didn't look back. She ran. She ran out of the house barefoot, tears pouring down her face. She ran past cars, past gardens, past everything. She ran until she reached the estate gate. The security men grabbed her, thinking something terrible had happened. "What is it? Madam, what happened?" they asked, trying to hold her steady. Lucia could not speak. She could only point toward her house, shaking violently. The security men looked at her confused. They didn't know what she had seen or why she was crying that way. They tried calling Prince, but his number was suddenly not available. 3 of them rushed to her apartment. They searched everywhere, but they found nothing. No tail, no movement, no sign of Prince, just an empty house. Even his car had disappeared. Lucia sat on the ground at the gate, crying silently. She felt her whole world crumble. When she finally calmed a little, she called her mother. Early the next morning, her parents came. They held her like a child and brought her back to the house. Lucia refused to enter at first, but her father gently encouraged her. Inside, everything looked normal, as if nothing strange had ever happened. Her parents looked around and sighed. "Lucia, are you sure you saw what you said you saw?" her mother asked softly. Lucia looked at her mother with red eyes. "I know what I saw." But they didn't believe her. They thought maybe she was stressed or maybe she had imagined it. Lucia walked into the bedroom, removed her wedding ring with shaking fingers and placed it gently on the bed. "I'm not staying here again," she whispered. Her parents nodded and took her out. They locked the door and Lucia walked away without looking back. Back home in their family house, her mother still did not believe her. She told her to get ready to go back to her husband when he returned. "Maybe you have malaria. That was just a dream or figments of your imagination. Your husband should be at his factory in South Africa and will soon return." Her mother was more interested in the money and gifts she received from Prince. She didn't even care about her daughter's feelings. But Lucia did not listen to her mother this time. She knew exactly what she saw. She knew she saw the head and body of Prince with the tail of a giant python snake. She was never going back to the house. But was she going to escape the consequences? That night, she could not sleep. Her stomach was very hot. She felt continuous movement in her tummy. Her private parts itched and ached. She was going insane. She screamed all night.
That was when her mom began to realize that the situation could be more serious than she initially thought. She invited pastors and traditionalists to deliver her daughter, but her pain only increased. One night, she slept and fell into a trance. She knew she wasn't dreaming, but she also wasn't fully awake. It felt so real. Prince stood before her. Her pain immediately stopped. He told her she must sleep with him every night for 1,000 days or remain in pain for that long. Before she could ask questions, he disappeared into thin air. Her fear doubled. Her pain immediately returned.
The next night, her pain returned, even more excruciating. But soon after, it stopped. She turned, and behold, Prince was standing by her bed. She was caught in between the devil and the deep blue sea. She agreed to sleep with him because she could not endure the pain any longer. Shortly, she began to scream and twist like a woman about to reach the mountain peak. Her mother rushed to her room to find out if she was okay. She saw her moving and rolling, but she didn't see Prince or any other person. Lucia never stopped until she was done. Her mother was scared. That night, Lucia slept peacefully without pain. Every day, Prince would come, Lucia would scream, and then she would sleep in peace. This continued for weeks. It was a bittersweet experience. She was not comfortable sleeping with a python in human form, but she had no choice as a peaceful night's rest was directly tied to that. She was now sleeping well. Her skin began to glow again. Her beauty became more obvious. A suitor came to ask for her hand in marriage. She thought to herself, if I marry this man, maybe I'll finally be free from Prince. She quickly said yes. But something shocking happened. That night, her pain disappeared. She was happy. Her mother was happy. Everyone rejoiced with her. Finally, the curse was broken. But then, the suitor never returned. They later learned the man died of snake bite. Their fear doubled. They became even more scared. Lucia's night pain returned until Prince began to visit again. A second suitor came, but she turned him down to save his life. A few months later, when she thought she had seen it all, something more worrisome happened. Her tummy began to protrude like she was pregnant. But all lab tests indicated she was not pregnant and her monthly flow still came as they used to. All ultrasound results indicated there was nothing in her tummy. But she knew there was something growing in her stomach, not just one thing, but many things that often move like long, small, tiny objects. God, when will this pain be over? She would often pray and ask God. One night, Prince spoke to her. You have my generation in your womb. When our union is over, I'll go with them. But before going, I'll speak to you again, he said, increasing Lucia's fear and worries. What will he tell me this time around? God, when will this suffering be over? She cried and begged God for mercy.
After the 1,000th day, Prince did not appear to her. Her pain was so much that she thought she was going to die that night. She began to bleed non-stop. Her mother and everyone around didn't see the blood. They only knew Lucia was dying. She suddenly passed out. When Lucia regained consciousness, her room was silent except for her own unsteady breathing. The pain was gone. Every sharp wave, every stab that had tormented her for months. Instinctively, her hands flew to her stomach, flat, still, empty. A cold wind swept through the room, though every window was shut. Then she heard him, Prince's voice, low and distant, like someone speaking across an endless cave. Our union is over. I have taken the children. You opened the door and I used what you offered. There were many others, but your desperate desire blinded you. Learn from this, Lucia. I return to my kingdom and you will never see me again.
The voice faded, the room warmed, and Prince was gone. From that day on, Lucia never saw or heard him again. Her pain never returned, yet the emptiness in her chest remained like a shadow that followed her everywhere. Her parents, realizing the depth of their mistake and pushing her toward wealth at any cost, wept before her and begged for forgiveness. Lucia cried too, grieving her choices, grieving the life that might have been. Together, they rebuilt what had been broken, slowly, the way cracked earth softens after rain. Years passed, and Lucia found peace. Not instantly, not easily, but steadily. Her story spread from village to village and became a whispered tale by firelight. The girl who loved money so much, she did not see the monster wearing a man's face. A cautionary folk tale for daughters and sons, reminding them that not every glittering promise is a blessing, and some doors, once opened, cannot be closed without a price. Dear viewers, I hope you learned something from this story. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video. And if you're a returning subscriber, you are the real MVP. I don't take your support for granted. See you in the next one. But before then, let me know, where are you watching from?